Hey everybody, Big Daddy here, and with Safi'jiiva finally returning after Kulturoth has left the scene, as well as having over 100 kills on him myself, figured now would be a great time to give you guys a complete walkdown of everything you need to know about Safi'jiiva. Before I get into the meat of this guy, guys, I'm going to very, very highly recommend that if you're going to do this and you're going to go for full rewards and not just kill him outright, that you have Part Breaker 3 and Health Boost 3 so that it can make your life a lot easier and it'll make your runs a lot smoother. You'll be able to break things much faster. So with that being said, I'm going to break this video down into 5 sections, which I'll have on the screen for you right now, the time points, as well as I will leave links in the description. So if you don't want to watch a particular part of this, you'll be able to click on what you want down below. So starting off with, we're going to go over what the maximum reward level is, all the different things that you can do during the quest to earn you the most points, so that way you can get the most rewards and hopefully reach max reward level. In the second bit, we're going to be going over the Safi'jiiva's anatomy, as far as what parts you can break the easiest using what weapon, as well as other general information to help you along with the fight. The third point is we're going to go over some of the basics for the fight, some specific attacks that he has, and how to evade those to make sure that you don't get one-shot or pinned or burned to death or anything like that. The fourth section is going to be a little bit shorter. I'm going to give you guys a couple team recommendations depending upon your skill level, as well as what you feel like having in the quest with you to make your life easy. And for the final section of the video, we're going to be going over some builds that I want to show you that I personally use that have worked really well for me and my 100+ kills of this monster. So hopefully, if you don't use them exactly, you can at least use them as a template if you're having trouble or if you just want something to go by. So let's get started. So for anybody who hasn't done the siege before, the maximum reward level that you can reach if you break all of the parts and get all of your rewards from it is level 17. However, you only need level 13 to be able to claim the max amount of rewards in the form of weapons at the end of the siege. So on the first page, what you're going to see is things related to just completing the quest or fighting Safi'jiiva and whittling his health down in the first place. So you're going to have things such as getting him past the first level, getting him to the second level, getting him to the final level, having him completely drain each individual level. Those are going to give you point amounts as well for doing each of those things. Now on the second page is where we really get into the meat of the operation, and that's going to be breaking all of his parts. Now as you can see, breaking his back, his chest, severing his tail, as well as completely breaking his head, and you'll get the partial break of course with that, those are going to give you the most points overall during your fight with Safi. So if you don't want to focus on anything else, do focus on those because it's going to give you the most bang for your buck. Once you break those, for the most part, a lot of people are going to be breaking the wings while they're trying to break the back in the first area. So those are going to be your next most point valued bits. And then finally following down with the legs, each individual legs. So as well as breaking all of his parts, what you're also going to want to do is rotate your host as you go through the quest, doing more than one run, so that you can make sure that you get those 2 extra rewards at the end. I have had it happen where I've hosted one and done 2 to 3 runs, and they've all gone perfectly, and I've still gotten the single run rewards at the end, but I've also had it to where I've done that and it hasn't. Now, it seems the more often than not, they give you the quest failed screen at the end, and not just the Safi'jiiva retreated screen, has caused that to happen, but I can't say for sure what it is, so I'm not going to go on record for it here. Now that we've gone over what you can break and the point values that are attached to them, let's go over what the easiest bits to break are and the most effective weapons to use to break them. I'm going to be going through this in different sections, starting with the things that are easiest to break and then working towards the things that have the more health and are harder to break. So first and foremost, his back is the easiest thing on his body to break. It has the least amount of health, it takes the least amount of damage to get the most amount of points. So you're going to want to break that, and you should be able to break that every single time that you run him. Now you can use any weapon that you want to break his back. However, it's going to take you 2 mounts at a minimum with the Great Sword and the heavy bowgun to break his back, whereas you can do it in 1 mount with the charge blade and the switch axe under certain conditions. But more than likely what's going to be your most surefire way to break it in the shortest amount of time is to have a bowgunner hit it with sticky ammo. And his next weakest bit is going to be his wings. Now you're going to want a bowgun for this because otherwise you're going to have a really hard time reaching them. Even with an insect glaive, it's not reliable, although it can be done. But the best luck that I've had with it, the most success that I have had with it, is just have a bow gunner shoot at the wings. Now keep in mind that with sticky ammo, you can stick it anywhere on the wings and it counts towards that damage. However, if you're not using sticky and you're using, let's say, water shot or pierce shot or normal, anything like that, you're going to have to hit the red part of his wings, the main, like, actual bone muscle part of his wings, to do any damage to it. So the next easiest thing to break after the wings, even though it's debatable in my opinion, and is going to be something that you have to wait on, is going to be his chest. Now keep in mind that you can only do damage to this and break this while he's super critical in his third area. So it's going to be one of the last things that you're going to break, but it's going to be one of the first things that you want to do once you get to that third area and are able to get him to that super crit state and start doing damage to him. Now for this, you're going to want a weapon that has some reach, unless you knock him down with sticky or get it down from a mount. So things like the Great Sword or the Charge Blade, Gun Lance or Hunting Horn specifically, those things are going to be your best bet and your easiest way to break his chest. So following that, his hind legs are going to be the next easiest thing to break. However, with his hind legs and his front legs, you do more damage to the hind legs with blunt weapons, whereas you do more damage to the front legs with edge weapons, but we'll get to that in a minute. What I mean is that with your hind legs, you're going to want to use things like the hammer or the hunting horn or sticky ammo so that you can do your most damage to the hind legs. You will have yellow numbers with those with crits, whereas even with your edge weapons, until you break them, you'll have white numbers no matter the damage that you do to them. So you can break them with anything, of course, but your most effective way is going to be with your blunt weapons. So as aforementioned, your forelegs are going to be weaker with your edge weapons, and they are the next piece that has the least amount of health. So you're going to want to use something like a long sword, great sword, or specifically dual blades or switch axe to do with your front legs. I've had great success with the switch axe personally, using the power axe playstyle and then just using that and just continually wild swinging on the legs, and they break pretty easy. But with the dual blades, the amount of attacks that you can get on those in a short amount of time, as long as you can hold him still, is insane, and they melt like butter. So his tail has the second most amount of health on his body, and it's also going to be the bane of your existence to break, because as a great sword main, I cannot tell you how many times I've gone in for a true charge slash, and he's lifted that tail up just before the blade hit, and I've gotten no damage out of it. And as well as my experience using a long sword on him, he seems to want to rotate as soon as you come down with the helm switch. It's a big pain in the butt, but it's going to be one of those things you need to do, as well as being weakest to edge weapons, so you're going to want to use your bladed weapons, long sword, great sword, charge blade, anything like that that you can reach, that you can get to it easy with, will be your best bet for getting that tail cut off. And now finally the head. The head has the most HP to break on his entire body, as well as you have to get 2 separate breaks on it to get the full amount of points. So if you only get the head partly broken, point bonus, then you're going to have to do it again if you don't complete it in that run, and then finally do more damage to it to get the head completely broken. Now, once again, the head is weakest to your blunt weapons until you break it. Once you break it, it's weak to everything. Everything does normal amount of damage to it at that point, but you have to get the partial break on it first. So things like, once again, the hammer specifically, or sticky ammo, is going to be your best bet. I know I'm talking sticky ammo up a lot on this guy, but to be fair, it is universally good on everything except for the tail. So now that we've discussed his different parts and how to break them and what weapons you should be using, let's go over some fight basics. Now, first and foremost, this guy has a lot of the same attacks as Arc Temper's Safi'jiiva, as far as his energy dispersion, his burst, the attack where he shoves his fist through the ground and creates an explosion all around him. Those are all going to be the same. They just expand a little bit further out. But they did give him some new attacks, specifically his focus beam, which is going to be where he'll track your character for a certain amount of time, and then he'll finally shoot a beam out. And wherever your character was moving, he will lead himself so that he tries to hit you with it. So what you want to do to avoid this is you want to keep running in the same direction until you see his mouth glow brighter, and then you want to jump the opposite way. And once you get him into a second zone, he's going to start doing his Sapphire the Emperor, as well as he will do this pin attack on you where he'll pause and he'll jump forward and swing his head at you. And if he hits you with his head swing, then he's going to pick you up in his mouth, breathe on you, and then shoot you into the floor. Now, you'll be able to tell when this attack is coming for the most part, because it does have a pretty decent animation length, as well as if he's targeting you, you'll actually have to jump at you to get to you. But when you see him going through this, you want to wait until he jumps and then roll towards him to make sure that he doesn't hit you with it. In this first area, there's 2 environmental things that you can do to him here. There's the black webbing along the outside rim of the area, which he can get stuck in if you do enough damage to him while he's sitting in it, as well as there's 2 rock formations, one at the front of the stage and one at the back of the stage, that you can drop on him that'll knock him out, and you'll be able to do some serious damage to him at that point in time. But to make things easier on you, you can, if you attack one side of his body, it'll push him in that opposite direction from the side that you're attacking. Hit him on his left side, he will move further to the right, of course, to try to get away from you once you do enough damage to him on that side. I wouldn't go out of my way and take up extra time in the mission, since you only have 20 minutes, to make sure I got any or all of these areas. But if you can, it is strongly recommended that you drop the rocks on him or you stick them in the ground whenever possible. And then finally, when he gets into his third area and you don't have the rock guarantees of his second zone, he will periodically drop rocks from the ceiling. Once he sucks in energy to regain his health, he will shoot a beam, drop rocks from the ceiling, and you have to use those to hide behind before he does it, or while he's doing his Sapphire Star. So as an added bonus, after he uses Sapphire the Emperor for the first time in the third area, it's gonna make, you'll see little green gas pockets. There will be 3 of them that are around the map. Now, if you run him into one of those, or any of those, it's going to do 1,000 damage to him. But you really need to wait until he's done with any animation that he's doing, because if you hit him with 2, and you get the stun effect after the first one, and you hit him with the second one, it's going to knock him down. So really, you want to wait until he's super crit to hit him with the second one, so that you can maximize your damage and get your DPS in while he's immobilized. So now that we've gotten through all that, we're going to go over a couple team recommendations depending upon who you want to play with, what your play style is, who your friends are, and as well as just your general skill level. So for the most optimal run, if you're not trying to kill him in one phase, because one phase, if you want to one phase him, it's going to be 3 aqua shots and something to knock him out, whether it be the Furious Rajang heavy bowgun, or another aqua shot, or either the Yangaruga or the Brachydios light bowgun. But if you're going for max rewards, what you want to do, if your team complement is skill, you want to have 2 bowgunners and then 2 people with edge weapons. Now I say that because the bowgunners, one could be focusing on the wings, while the other one is trying to knock Safi'jiiva out, so he gets more time for the edge weapons to get that tail off as quickly as possible. And then once you finish that, you can swap out you can leave one person on bowgun, swap the other person out, wait to work on the back legs, or just use whatever they can use to make themselves the most effective at that point. But if you've got a team that's a lower skill level, or you feel like you need a healer, you can always sub out one of the bowgunners and use a healer, or sub out both bowgunners if you don't have a guy that knows how to use the bowgun, and use a hammer or something else, because you want to immobilize Safi. You want to knock him out as much as you possibly can to make your life easier, so that you can hit those critical parts like your tail, which are going to be really your most moving part on his entire body, so that you can get your carves and you can get your points. So finally, to round everything off, I'm going to show you guys a couple builds that I personally use that has made my life a lot easier, getting all of these kills and all of the Dracolite collected off of Safi. So we're going to start off first with your edge weapon. Now, you're going to show you my Great Sword build, my Long Sword build, and my Switch Axe build. Now, these builds may not be super duper optimized or meta, but they have given me great success to where I've been able to solo cut off the tail as well as solo break legs without any problems. So next are a couple different sticky builds. The main build that I use against him is the Furious Rajang heavy bowgun. You guys have seen me use it in a couple of other of my videos. I love the thing. It gives great results, it does great damage, and it's all around just a good build for breaking things and stunning monsters. Now, beside that, I'm going to have the sticky Aquashot build that I use the greatest majority of the time. And now, if you're just getting into the fight and you don't have any of these weapons and you don't really feel like farming them, but what you have on hand you can use from just getting through the Iceborne storyline, show you the build with the Brachydios light bowgun. And now finally, if you're not really concerned about getting your max rewards and you just want to get kills on him, you want to get your Dracolite and get out as fast as you can, then these are 3 different Aquashot builds that I use for water ammo. So that just about wraps it up, guys. That's everything that you really need to know about Safi'jiiva before you get into the siege. But if I missed anything, please leave in the comments down below. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, ding the notification bell, and we will see you on the next one. Good luck out there, hunters, and go murder some red dragons.